What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, I want to give a big shout out to the brother Erving for showing love once again with the donation to the channel via the PayPal. Much respect to you for showing love to Too Raw for TV. And he asked me to do a comparison between Kevin Durant and Julius Erving and who I thought was better. And all of this, of course, is speculative, and there really is no right answer to this. It's subjective. Depends upon how you look at these things. But me personally, number one, I include the ABA. Some people say, oh, no, it's a strict NBA thing. Too much hypocrisy involved in that. You know, at the end of the day, sometimes people will negate the ABA by saying, oh, it really wasn't that great a league. But then there are times when obviously the NBA was not as talented as other eras, right? So you'll have people say, oh, well, the 50s don't count because that wasn't a talented era, or there weren't as many black players. See, all these qualifiers you got to put in there to negate. So even if you do include the NBA, people still find ways to poo-poo an era. So at the end of the day, I look at it like this. Well, you got four former ABA franchises in the NBA: the Spurs, the Pacers, the Nets, and who am I forgetting? The Nuggets. Two of them won championships now, the Nuggets and the Spurs. And the Pacers have been to the NBA Finals. So at the end of the day, you got all the gimmicks that they've taken from the ABA, the three-point line, the slam dunk contest, you know. But anyway, these two are two of the greatest small forwards the game has ever seen. All right. I mean, when you think of the great the great small forwards of all time, you think of Larry Bird, you think of LeBron, Ramon James, you know, you think of Elgin Baylor, you think of Rick Barry, you know, you think of those guys. But of course, these two are two of the best to ever do it. Now, when you look at Julius Erving's resume, well, first, maybe let's look at Kevin Durant's. This will be easier to do it this way. So, Kevin Durant, two-time NBA champion. All right? Both of those, of course, were the Golden State Warriors. Though some people put an asterisk on it because those teams were perceived to be super teams, and those were considered Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green's team, with Kevin Durant joining the franchise, making it a super-duper team. You know what I'm saying? Dr. J won one NBA championship in '83. But altogether, he's a three-time pro champion because he won two championships in the ABA. Okay, Kevin Durant, two-time Finals MVP. The closest thing to that, as far as equivalency, would be Julius Erving's two ABA playoff MVPs in the ABA. Kevin Durant won league MVP back in 2014. Julius Erving has one NBA MVP, but three ABA MVPs. So that's four overall MVPs for Julius Erving. Kevin Durant, 14-time All-Star. Julius Erving, when you include the ABA and NBA, 16-time All-Star. Kevin Durant, 2 times NBA All-Star Game MVP. Julius Erving, also 2-time NBA All-Star Game MVP. Kevin Durant, 6 times All-NBA First Team, 5 times All-NBA Second Team. Julius Erving, 5 times All-NBA First Team, 2 times All-NBA second team, excuse me. When you include the ABA, he's a 9-time All NBA first teamer and 2-time All NBA second teamer, or I should say pro all time, not whatever. You know what I'm trying to say with that one, right? So look, Kevin Durant was Rookie of the Year. I don't believe Julius was Rookie of the Year. No, that's not his resume. Kevin Durant, All Rookie First Team. Julius Erving, he was All NBA Rookie in 1972. Well, look, man, I don't have to keep going through all this. At the end of the day, let's just speed through this. Kevin Durant, 4-time champion, 2 times 50, 40, 90 club, 75th anniversary team. Julius Erving, All Defensive First Team, 3-time ABA scoring champion, slam dunk champion, and it is what it is. All right, look. We look at their respective careers. I would say Kevin Durant has the edge in scoring, although Julius Erving scored 30,026 points. Kevin Durant is just the more efficient scorer. I know Dr. J has a 50+% career field goal percentage, but what I mean is just as far as overall range on the court. Kevin Durant can knock down any shot anywhere on the court. He really has no weakness offensively. He has range. He can shoot from an efficient standpoint from beyond the arc. He has the mid-range game. Matter of fact, he's probably the best mid-range player left in the NBA over the past 15 years. He's the best mid-range guy in the league. He's an elite free throw shooter. He's improved his post play. That's not his strength, but he improved it as his career progressed, especially with the Washington Wizards. And he's also an improved facilitator. Dr. J was a good facilitator, but never great. And Dr. J's strength was in transition, full court. That was where you saw his brilliance. He was an absolute monster in the full court situation. Just a monster. It's when the game was slowed down in a half court situation that Dr. J sometimes struggled a bit. But when it comes to scoring, I give the edge to Kevin Durant. Defense, I have to give the edge decisively to Julius Erving. Kevin Durant was never noted for his defensive abilities. You could argue he got marginally better with the Warriors, but that was never a forte of his game. Meanwhile, with Julius Erving, that's a very underrated aspect of his game. In the 16 pro seasons he played in the ABA and NBA, I believe he got over 1,900 career blocks. Over 1,900 career blocks, and close to 2,300 career steals, if memory serves me correctly. So this is a guy that could really wreak havoc on defenses. He doesn't get the credit for it like he should, but yeah, I definitely give him the advantage when it comes to defense. Rebounding, even though statistically they're about the same, being that Kevin Durant is basically 7 feet tall, even though he's listed 6'9", he's 7 feet tall. When you consider the fact that Julius Erving is smaller, but especially in the ABA, I think there were some years he averaged double-digit rebounding. He just proved to be a stronger rebounder. I think in particular, if I remember correctly, with offensive rebounding, he just was a more dominant rebounder in general, so you give him the edge in that capacity. Leadership. Well, Julius Erving was considered the ambassador of the NBA during the 1980s, whereas Kevin Durant just basically told fans to F off, and he doesn't really value them. And, one of the things that has been haunting Kevin Durant is the fact that on virtually no team that he's belonged to has he demonstrated he's that guy. Russell Westbrook ended up being that guy in OKC. We know he wasn't the man in Golden State. He wasn't the man in Brooklyn. He wasn't on the court long enough. And he just got called out by, of all people, Stephen A. Smith for not being a leader with the Suns. So we know who got that as far as leadership. And overall, when you look at accolades, when you look at all factors of the game, I give the edge to Dr. J. I know some people are like, well, he ain't got a bag like Kevin Durant. That's true. He's not a great shooter. And, while he did average 22 points a game for his career, he didn't average 27, 28 like Kevin Durant. And I get that, right? I get that. But to be fair, Julius Erving was not a shot jacker. He just wasn't. He was even less so than KD, who's not a true shot blocker. Shot jacker. Not shot blocker either. Dr. J was, but not this guy. But anyway, he's not a guy that, it's going to take a lot of shots. But neither did Julius Erving. Only when it needed to be done in the ABA did he take a lot of shots. But he played on teams that had sufficient talent around the team that didn't warrant him doing some of the extra shit. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I also got to look at the fact that Julius Erving, when he came over to the NBA after the merger in 1976, there was a responsibility on his shoulders that Kevin Durant's never had to deal with. He never had Kevin Durant. He never had the responsibility of trying to keep a league afloat, being that number one guy, that star. He never had a responsibility. One thing I'll say about LeBron James, he was put into that responsibility, that pressure. Kevin Durant never had that type of pressure. So, when you look at the fact that he was helping to keep the NBA afloat, barely, for a couple of years, I definitely give the edge to Julius Erving. No doubt about it. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.